Hello guys and gals, it's Soulfax here and you're watching another War Thunder video. So lately I've been running really low on quality replays to make videos from, and that's basically for a few reasons. Number one being that, well, I'm not playing this game all that much anymore. I mean, I'm still playing it every day and I still do enjoy playing this game, but because I'm starting to make videos on a daily basis, I just don't have the time that I used to have to play this game. So I only play maybe 10-15 matches per day, and I gotta get the tanks in, all the aircrafts in, so I just don't have the replays anymore. Second is that anytime that Gaijin actually updates this game, all the replays from the previous version get broken and you can't use them anymore. So all the replays that I have saved up and all the replays that I received from the viewers on my email are practically unusable if they're from any update other than the current update. So, to cut this short, if you have any interesting or fun replay that you would like to see featured on this channel, that's okay. Try this again. If you have any fun or interesting replay that you would like to see featured on this channel, send them over to soulfax444@gmail.com. That is soulfax444@gmail.com. So, now that I've finished my telemarketer routine, we can get back to the replay. Now, I've been playing War Thunder for, well, almost 2 years now, I think, and in that time I have played a lot of games with all of the nations, and I've noticed a few things, like many other people, that there are a few trends and a few stereotypes that have emerged whilst we were playing War Thunder. Now, let's say for Germany, German players like to complain that Russian aircrafts are under-tiered and overpowered. And on the other side, Russian players like to complain that German aircrafts are both under-tiered and underpowered. Japanese pilots like to complain that their aircrafts cost too much to repair, but they choose to ignore the fact that some of them have really broken flight modules and that are completely and utterly under-tiered and overpowered. Now, I don't know a single stereotype about the Brits, so I'm just gonna skip over them, but there is one big stereotype that a lot of people agree on about the American pilots, and that is that basically they're just not very good at this game. It's sort of a running community gag that American pilots are really not good at this game, and that when you're playing against American pilots you're gonna have an easy time stomping them and winning the match. Now, me personally, I never believed in that stereotype because I've never noticed anything of the sort. I played both against and for American pilots, and I've never noticed them doing any worse than their Russian and German counterpart. But, well, then we come to this replay. The subject of this video is a certain Mr. Federal11 who sent me this replay, so thank you for sending me this replay. I really appreciate it and I hope you enjoyed this video. He also asked of me to give him a review and feedback on the replays, which I will do, but before I do that I need to mention that he is flying the Japanese version of the Focke-Wulf A5, the land-leased version, and I hope you don't mind that, even though it is it's not a captured plane, it's a land-leased plane, but there is no reason to mistake it for a friendly plane because, well, of course it's a Focke-Wulf 190, and if you're playing on the Allies team, you're not going to be seeing Focke-Wulf 190s that are friendly in any shape or form. Anyhow, this replay is not all about what Mr. Federal does, but it's also about how the enemy team plays and what they do. Now, like I mentioned earlier, he is flying in his Focke-Wulf A5. This is a Japan vs United States simulator battle match on one of those maps whose name I just can't pronounce and I don't even bother. And while Mr. Federal is performing this aerial maneuver to look down in his cockpit, you might have noticed that I've switched to the external point of view. And I did that for a reason, to illustrate a point. Now, this is not the beginning of the match, it's already 4 minutes into the replay and Mr. Federal joined in 2 minutes after the match started, which means that this is around the middle point of the simulator battle match and he's already in the middle point of the map. And looking up just a second ago, you might have noticed there's nobody at altitude or anywhere close to Mr. Federal's altitude. Some logic dictates that he should have encountered an aircraft at this altitude at this point in the match, but, well, apparently no. The American team thought the best course of action would be to go to low altitude and dogfight Japanese aircraft because of reasons and because of historical accuracy. Now, I don't want to rip into American asses too much because, well, I once was a new player, but these are tier 3 players and you might say, well, they're just started playing the game because tier 3 is not hard to achieve. And to that I say, well, no, you played more than 100 games, you've reached tier 3, you should know what your aircraft can do and what your aircraft can do. Anyway, we're moving back into the cockpit point of view because Mr. Federal notices his first victim. There is a P-38 at slightly lower altitude than he is, fighting another Japanese plane, which is always a good idea because you want to dogfight Japanese planes at lower altitude. Anyhow, he dives on the P-38, does what FW190s do. P-38 goes in the vertical, unfortunately straight into Mr. Federal's guns, and those 4 20mm cannons just rip him to shreds. So his first kill in the match. And simply like that, he just pulls his nose up, uses the energy he has gained by diving on the P-38 and gets above everybody in the freaking match. But worry not, the respite in action is going to be very brief because as soon as he was finished with that P-38, a second P-38 appears and offers his life over to reinforce the already well-standing stereotype that American players are completely and utterly bad at this game. Take a wild guess at what this P-38 is doing. He does appear to have noticed Mr. Federal, and he does appear to have started doing some evasive maneuvers. So he goes down, dives a little bit, does an aileron roll, but yeah, if you guess that he's fighting a Japanese aircraft at low altitude, you're a winner because he gets his wing sheared off by Mr. Federal, who picks up his second kill, pulls his nose up and gets back to altitude above everybody else once again. So moving back to the external point of view, I want to illustrate that once again, even after the middle point of the match has gone and passed, there's nobody at altitude with Mr. Federal, and that is basically the biggest mistake American players do. American planes, most American planes are well suited for high altitudes, and while they don't have very good turning ability, they're extremely fast in both the straight line and, of course, while diving. Another thing that American planes have that, well, just Japanese and British planes don't have is very good guns. Those 50 cals on Americans' aircraft, you just need one short spray over the fuselage or the wings of any aircraft that you find and you will most likely set them on fire, if not completely disintegrate them. So when I see a P-47 at low altitude, I just want to cry because you're butchering such a great aircraft. That kind of playstyle leads to the planes like the P-47 being at such criminally low battle ratings. I mean, come on, the P-47 is such an amazing plane and it stands at 3.3 battle rating? That's just completely insane. Anyhow, there's a B-25 here. Yeah, he's trying to turn with a Focke-Wulf. That's not gonna actually work. Although that would have been a good idea if this was, let's say, a Zero or some kind of other Japanese aircraft, because they're very unprotected, don't have great guns. But since this is a Focke-Wulf, you're not going to be able to abuse that. Anyhow, it appears Mr. Federal has picked up somebody on his 6 while he was diving on that B-25, but well, that's easily dealt with because he is boom and zooming, and whoever was trying to get on his 6 was probably not on the same altitude as he was when he entered his dive, which means that they were not going to be able to follow him in his zoom climb. And would you know, it's a P-47. Oh, reinforcing stereotypes one plane at a time. I wonder how this is gonna turn up. Who here thinks that P-47 isn't even going to flinch when Mr. Federal starts shooting? Oh, he did try to evade, but too little too late, and that's his 5th or 6th kill? I just lost count, it doesn't really matter. And if you think that was easy, well, it was easy. It does look easy, and it is very easy, because when you're in an aircraft such as the FW190, when you're flying it correctly, like Mr. Federal is, he's not exhibiting any sort of special piloting. It's the enemy team that is completely and utterly useless and just allowing him to get all those kills by being, well, completely brain dead and not flying their planes correctly. I'm not trying to diminish the magnitude of Mr. Federal's accomplishment here, but speaking completely honestly, if it were not for the enemy team being so completely and utterly brain dead and not understanding the basic principles of air-to-air combat, he probably would have stopped at maybe 2, 3 kills at most, but he's already gotten 5 kills and he's not yet over. So at this point in the match, most of the enemy team is already dead, which means that there's just a few enemy aircrafts left before he can win this match. Now, there was an enemy aircraft at almost high altitude, but he decided for whatever reason just to dive down. He apparently did not notice Mr. Federal, and Mr. Federal is going to take advantage of that because, as we switch it to cockpit view again, there appears to be a crosshair, and while crosshairs are, in my opinion, very good aircrafts, they are not very good at climbing, and he's easily outplaying this crosshair, but just going up into the vertical and then diving down back on him. Unfortunately for this crosshair, there's nothing much he can do at this point in time. Mr. Federal is above him, he's going very fast. He is at least trying to evade Mr. Federal, but to no avail because Mr. Federal gets nice and close, puts a few shots into him and shears his wing off for his 5th kill. And we're gonna move slightly forward in the replay because nothing interesting happened for a few minutes. So after flying around at altitude for a few minutes, Mr. Federal notices another aircraft, and would you know it, it's a crosshair at low altitudes. And I gotta say, this match is really one ridiculous match, because from what all I've seen in this replay, and I've watched it a few times over, there is not a single aircraft on the enemy team that puts any effort into actually climbing above 2 kilometers. And when you're at such low altitude as this crosshair, and there's a Fokker Wolf that is prowling around, you're not gonna have a very good time. So Mr. Frederick Federal picks up his 6th kill and goes back into the vertical, but right away he's gonna notice there's a conga line, is that the right expression, or a lemming train of aircrafts that he wants to join, because there's only 3 aircrafts remaining on the enemy team. So this next bit will give you insight in the mind of the American pilot, his decision making and his overall battle plan. So that's a P-63 and a P-47 dogfighting a Japanese aircraft at low altitude, because that's a good idea. What they don't see is that Mr. Federal and other friendly aircraft are diving down on them. If that P-36 just looked back for a second, he might have been able to evade Mr. Federal and give himself a fighting chance, but okay, that P-47 is definitely screwed. Now what happens next completely blew my mind. So Mr. Federal is getting nice and close here, he's gonna start shooting at that P-63 in just a second. So he shuts him down, and the P-47 is like, I want some too! Yay! And just as the P-47 suicided into Mr. Federal's guns, a friendly aircraft managed to zoom by, and what is this? There is an aircraft on Mr. Federal's 6. Oh my god, it's a P-51 that is trying to contest this altitude advantage. It's not gonna work. Why? Because the P-51 is not very good at climbing, and he was actually very slow, so yeah, this is a failed attempt. This whole match just made my brain hurt. I'm sorry that you had to watch this if you watched this all the way to the end expecting some kind of hilarious finish, because that's the best I can do. A P-51 does get taken down by a friendly aircraft, and this is basically the end of the match, but yeah, this is why American pilots are so bad. You need to know everything about your plane to use it correctly, because this game prides itself in being historically correct. A lot of planes are historically correct, and if you don't use your plane correctly, you're gonna have very bad results. Anyway, my name has been Soulfax. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope I will see you some other time. See ya!